Right.
Yes. A very good evening to all the dear students. I welcome you all in the online lecture series for MA Semester 1, jointly organized by Shri Binzani City College, Nagpur, Vasantrav Naik Government Institute of Arts and Social Sciences, Nagpur, Rajkumar Kevalramani Kanya Mahavidyalaya, Nagpur, J.M. Patel College, Bhandara, and Mahila Mahavidyalaya, Nagpur. Today, to conduct the session, we have among us Mrs. Arushi Valgaonkar. Madam has qualified set. She has done her MA in English from Symbiosis College of Arts and Commerce, Pune. She has also done postgraduate diploma in teaching of English from IFLU, Hyderabad. Madam has 2 years of teaching experience and currently she is working with Dharampet R.S. Mundle College of Arts and Commerce, Nagpur. Uh, on behalf of the host institutions, ma'am, I would like to welcome you and request you
Thank
to
you,
come
ma'am.
to the session. Today, madam will be dealing with Vanity Fair by William Thackeray. Welcome to you, ma'am, and over to you. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Madhvi ma'am. Uh, Good evening, all students. Let me share the screen with you all. I hope it's visible, everyone.
Yes, yes. The screen is visible, ma'am. Please proceed.
Okay. Yes. Good evening, students and the teaching staff. We are today uh, like this is the online lecture series MA Semester 1 based on NEP. We are on paper 3, unit 2, and today we'll discuss the William Marquis Thackeray Vanity Fair, and we'll explore some of the background topics as well as the whole novel in detail. And there are some social political aspects which we are about to discuss in this whole through this whole PPT in this session. So yes, these are some background topics which we are going to discuss today, and these are all interconnected somehow. The first is the Victorian society, which we are going to discuss, along with the Bronte sisters, the domestic novel, the Gothic novel, and apart from that, we have the Napoleonic War, which is somehow connected with the Battle of Waterloo. So yes, I hope I am uh, audible. And yes, we'll start with the first topic of today's session, that is the background topic, the Victorian society. The Victorian society is basically the Victorian era, which is from 1820 to 1940. Sorry to interrupt, Madhvi ma'am, am I quite audible?
Yes, yes. You are clearly audible, ma'am. Please
Okay.
proceed.
Yes, the Victorian era, which belongs to 1820 till 1940, which is a period of Queen Victoria reign from 1837 to 1901. As we can see, um in this PPT, there's this picture of Queen Victoria, and it is a class-based society, everyone, and a growing number of people able to vote, and growing state and economy, and Britain status as the most powerful empire in this world. Yes, this is true. Victorian society is a class-based society by that time, and it has a very rich culture by that time. And yes, the Victorian society was divided into the nobility of upper class, middle class, and working class. Yes, the class system was very important in Victorian society, because this Victorian society itself divided into the three class system. The first is the upper class, second is middle class, and the third is the working class period. let us see what is exactly mean by the upper class, middle class, and the working class, because Victorian society is all depend on this class system. The upper class society was in a powerful position, giving them authority, better living and condition, and other facilities. Yes, upper class society has all the necessities, better living conditions, and other facilities available to them, as this period is mostly belong to the working class society. So people who belong to upper class, and they have money, and all the royal class people, the aristocrat who worked for centuries and centuries for their family and gathered enough money for each generation, so that they can live the luxurious life in future. So the upper class society belongs to all the royal people, the aristocrats, and all the rich people. And in terms of education, when it comes to upper class society, it belonged to the rich families got the best tutor to provide education. Yes, this is very, very important, that only and only upper class society are benefited by the best tutors. And why? Because they could buy the expensive, because they could buy the best tutors, and they uh, have the enough money to pay the educators, because by then education was really very, very important. And only the rich people are the ones who afford to learn by these tutors. Apart from that, they could buy expensive clothes imported from Europe and afford other rich of life that was beyond the scope of others. Uh, in spite of that, we have the industrial revolution going on in the mid century of this Victorian era, which brought a drastic changes in the standard of living of Victorian middle class people. Yes, very, very true. Apart from upper class and the working class, we have the middle class people, which is the count of middle class people in Victorian era is like more, because due to industrial revolution, the working class the working class count has been increased. This revolution opened the door for more job opportunities for the middle class people. Yes, true, because industrial revolution um, is something which is the revolution of the basically new opportunities. And yes, there are these people who the job opportunities are very much available to all the people who uh, don't earn like lot of money like this upper class society. This in turn had a positive impact on the education of children. Yes, because of this new opportunities, because of this new decent living, more and more people are somehow turning their children to the education side. The last is the working side was the worst affected class in the Victorian times, because lack of money resulted in the negligible food supply. Correct. In this working class society students, there are two kinds of people. The first is the skilled one, and the second is the unskilled one. What do you exactly mean by skilled and the unskilled ones in Victorian class? Skilled ones are the people who know everything about the and who are basically trained to work for these people, but and they somehow get all this facilities or all this work. But at the same time, we have the unskilled people, that these people don't know how to work, yeah, or how to make their own living conditions. So these unskilled people somehow worst affected through this period. And the skilled people are somehow who are somehow trying to um, better their conditions. And for some working families, the living conditions were so pathetic, this belongs to the unskilled one, that they require their children to work in order to bring home some extra income to survive. Yes, the child labor is somehow increased, because this unskilled people um, they don't know enough how to work. Yeah, they don't have that stability to work, so they send their children to work for them, for their family, and so that these children bring some extra income for them to survive in this uh, society. Yes, apart from the class system, we have women, which is very very important in Victorian society. The women were supposed to look after the household chores and take care of children while the men would earn money. Yeah, this is a traditional tendency that the women were supposed to look after the household chores and take care of children while the men would earn money. But this revolution and this whole change, um, the whole industrial revolution has brought the change that there was a strong presence of male dominance in the society. Women were obey what men told them to. This is a very basic like thing in the societies. But now this revolution gave women an opportunity to work and earn money for themselves. So as we know, there are certain women in this society who work and earn money, who write, and who somehow stand for themselves, thus changing this old belief. Working women not only shared the burden of earning money, but it also gave them a sense of security. Correct. So this is all about the women. And then we have the politics, which is very very important, that in English government under the rule of Queen Victoria, yes, we all know this is a Victorian period and Queen Victoria was ruling by then, was a monarchy which also comprised of a parliament, the House of Lords and the House of Common. Yes, the House of Lords and House of Common, these are the two government, English government basically compromised with this two English government. The House of Lords, as you can see, the word Lord is there. So Lord means basically the rich people, the aristocrat people, all the royal people who belong to this party, and some of them the House of Common. House of Common means the all the common people, all the parliamentary people. Um, so these houses have like they have made these houses separately ki, the common people, the parliamentary people supports the House of Common, and somehow they disagree with the House of Lords. And this House of Lord, the rich people, the aristocrat people always think ki, no the parliamentary people are not that important, we should give all the basic amenities to the rich people only. In the initial year of the Victorian period, there were two strong political parties, the Whigs and the Tories. These were the first political parties in England who dominated the political field throughout the Victorian reign. Yes, the Whigs and the Tories, basically again the two political parties, and the Tories are the conservatives one, and the Whigs basically the somehow the House of Common and the Whigs are basically the same because they always supported the parliamentary people, and the Tories basically somehow connected to the House of Lords, which means that the only and only thing rich people will get all the rich people get all the amenities, but the poor people will like the poor people will not get anything. These were the first political parties in England who dominated the political field throughout the Victorian reign. Again, the Whigs were in the favor of growth of parliament, yes, and wanted to restrict the royal power. Towards the end of 1815, the Whigs became liberals. They were of the opinion that parliament should all the decisions and all men should have right to vote and elect the members. Tories believed that only those men who were rich and owned large plots or land should have the right to vote. Again, the conflict happened. The conflict is going by then between these two. Ki, no, no, only and only the parliament, the what the parliament people thinks that no, every person, every man, every woman have a right to vote and elect members for the parliament. But what Tories, what the House of Lords people thought, no, no, the people or the men who are rich, who are aristocrat, who own a large plots or land should have the right to vote. So the political conflict between the House of Lords and the House of Common um, we have seen how the conflict is going on between these two in Victorian society. Yes. Now, as we have talked about the Victorian society, uh, let's switch to the another background topic in our syllabus, that is the Bronte sisters. Yes, the Bronte sisters, as you can see in this picture, we have the Charlotte, the Emily, and Annie Bronte. Um, and these three were called as the Bronte sisters basically, and they are the writers, and their novels have become a classics basically through Victorian period. Let's see. Charlotte was born on 21st April 1816, Emily on 30th July 1818, and Annie on 17th January 1820, all in Thornton, Yorkshire. They have two sisters, both of whom died in childhood, and a brother, Branwell. Yes, apart from three, they have two sisters, and these two sisters somehow died at a very early age, and they have one brother whose name is Branwell, basically. So these three, like Charlotte, Emily, and Annie Bronte, was basically called as the Bronte sisters, and still they are if we read anything about it, they have wonderfully written the novels and the poems, but their background is quite sad or quite weak. Their father, Patrick, was an Anglican clergyman who was appointed as a rector of the village of Haworth on the Yorkshire moors. And after the death of their mother in 1821, their aunt Elizabeth came to look after the family. Yes, these three are not enough fortunate to get the love of their mother, but apart from that, their aunt Elizabeth somehow came to look after the family and these three children. So this the Bronte sisters are Charlotte, Emily, and Annie. Yes. All three sisters attended different school at various times as well as being taught at home. The Bronte children were often left alone together in the house and encouraged to write stories at an early age. Very, very important. These three sisters attended different schools in different times, and they have different somehow the background, but whenever they get free time, whenever they are alone, whenever they are together, they all somehow in writing the short stories and into the writing novels. All three sisters were employed at various times as teachers and governess. Charlotte and Emily went to Brussels to improve their French, but had to return home early after the death of their aunt Elizabeth. Yes, some of the Charlotte and Emily went to Brussels to improve their French, and the sisters is into the teaching and the governess, and somehow due to the death of their aunt Elizabeth, somehow they have to return to their hometown. Branwell was addicted to drinks and drugs. Yes, his the brother of Charlotte and Annie, and somehow the Emily, uh, the Branwell was addicted to drinks and drugs. And in May 1846, the sisters published at their own expense as their from their own money, a volume of poetry. This was the first use of their pseudonyms Currer, Ellis, and Acton. That means Annie Bell. Yes, these three sisters and their pen names, their pseudonyms got really very famous because they have published something by their own expense from their own money, the volume of poetry, but with the the different name, the Currer, which is the Charlotte, the Ellis, Emily, and the Annie, which is the Acton Bell. They all went on to publish novels with different level of success. Correct. Annie, which is the Agnes Grey, Annie's novel Agnes Grey and Charlotte Jane Eyre were published in 1847. Yes, this part I have underlined because this is really very important. Jane Eyre was one of the year's bestseller, and Annie's second novel, The Tenant of Wild Field Hall, and Emily's Wuthering Heights were both published in 1848. We all know the Wuthering Heights, basically, this is by Emily Bronte, and which got like really famous. And while writing the introductory part, or while in exams, if you write anything about the Bronte sisters, the examples are very, very important, because the novels which they have wrote got like very famous. The Tenant sold well, but Wuthering Heights did not. Yes, there's this up and down in their life, that the Tenant sold very well, the Tenant got like really famous, but Wuthering Heights at the initial stage did not um, like get the whole attention. But yes, Wuthering Heights is a fantastic novel written by Emily Bronte. Yes, the last stage of this, like the three sisters, Branwell died due to the tuberculosis in September 1848, and Emily died of the same disease on 19th December, and Annie on 20th May 1849. Left alone with her father, Charlotte continued to write, and she was by now a well known author and visited London a number of times. Charlotte married her father, and curate, that is the Arthur Nicholas. She died again with the same disease, tuberculosis, on 31st March 1855. Yeah, this is a very sad end of this Charlotte sisters, the Bronte sisters. And yes, like three sisters somehow died with the tuberculosis along with the their brother Branwell. I hope uh, you understood this part well. Uh, let's see what is the domestic novel. This is another part of your background topic. What do you exactly mean by domestic novel? It is a type of genre in which popular narrative literature written by, for, and about the woman. Yes, domestic novel basically written by women, for women, and about the woman, because woman is the centric, like the central character in every novel, or we can see the power of women or the sufferings of women are basically there in Victorian society. So the domestic novel is basically written for the sufferings or for the sacrifices of the woman, basically. It flourished during the mid 19th century, and yes, it somehow flourished in the mid 19th century, but it is also known as the sentimental fiction or women fiction. Yes, domestic novel is also known as the sentimental fiction or the women fiction. The genre is mainly presented in the novel through short stories and non-fiction. Yes, this genre is mostly presented in the novel through some of the short stories or through some of the non-fiction. Yes, the plot and conflict center around courtship, family life, marriage, and childbearing. Yes, these are the characteristics of the domestic novel. The plot is what the series of events, and the conflict means basically the twist and turns, or basically the disagreements happening between the characters, or somehow it is uh, the plot is not going well in direction, and then somehow the downfall of or some of the characters is basically center around courtship basically. What do you exactly mean by courtship? It's the process which a girl basically seeing a man or a boy before the marriage, and the novel is basically revolved around courtship between the family life. Yes, the family life, the marriage, and the childbearing. Apart from that, we have another characteristic of domestic novel. It focused on how the middle class women learning to make their way in the world. Yes, it also focuses on the middle class women, and somehow they are learning that how to make their way in the world, how to stand for themselves, or how to be a better like how to be a better person in the society, and all the dominancy of their husbands, or the dominancy of the patriarchy, and they all want to break everything. Domestic realism can be seen in the work of Jane Austen and Elizabeth Barrett Browning. Yes, Jane Austen and Elizabeth Browning, and there are many children's, but yes, Jane Austen and Elizabeth Browning, um, from their work you can see the domestic realism. The domestic realism means realism means basically what you see and what you suspect is somehow uh, writing through literature, basically. Basically you can say that the marriage is not going on between this the marriage is not going well between this person, female, the male, or the family life is not going well. So that is somehow through this thing we can see some of the female characters are like suffering. They are somehow the downfall of the female characters, or the sufferings of female characters. So through literature we are writing down all this thing, and we want that people should know how this women are suffering through this thing. And yes, the domestic realism basically it's the subtype of the domestic novel. It came from like this word, the domestic novel. Basically it's a novel, it's a whole term, and realism it's what we write it down in the novel. The genre of domestic novel began with Catherine Maria Sedgwick's A New England Tale in 1822. Yes, very very important. The first domestic novel began with Catherine Maria Sedgwick, A New England Tale. The tone of this domestic novel is didactic, and the domestic fiction include again these are the some of the characteristic: the marriage, the troubled domestic situation, the family life is not going well, there's the trouble going on, the distinction between home and outside the world. Yes, the outside the world and the conflict which is going in the house, the educational journey, how the educational journey of a particular woman or particular girl is going on. And yes, the examples of the domestic novel is, yes, the Vanity Fair, which we are going to study today, the Sense and Sensibility, and the Pride and Prejudice. There are many domestic novel, everyone available, like theirs in the whole literature, but these are some of the domestic novel which personally I like: the Vanity Fair, Sense and Sensibility, and Pride and Prejudice. Yes, uh, the Gothic novel, the another background topic of our syllabus. Gothic means a very dark, very like a darky, and you can say a very uh, the the dark and all this mystic characters, the spiritual characters, all is there in the Gothic novel. It is a genre of literature that covers horror, death, and at times romance. Yes, you can see there's this picture of this novel, The Castle of Otranto by Horace Walpole. And you can see in this picture, there's this girl, and someone is like trying to kill that girl. It somehow brings the suspense, the horror, the thrill, and everything is there in this Gothic novel. There are certain movies also, everyone we can call that movie the horror movie, and somehow it's like a very darky tone and suspicious characters. And then we have death, we have like the spiritual character, the supernatural elements, and then we have the haunted building. All are the themes are there in fiction, and through writing we are presenting this horror and thriller supernatural things with the help of the Gothic. The terror, mystery, horror, thriller, supernatural, death, decay, or haunted buildings are all the themes in this fiction. Yes, the you can say that terror, mystery, horror. thriller and the supernatural elements. You know that this is a like very common thing ki whenever we watch a horror movie or whenever we read something which is somehow connected with the darky background or the haunted background, you all know that the situation is like the whole um, the picture is very very different as compared to the common picture basically. So yes, they have this haunted buildings and all themes in this fiction. Horace Walpole's The Castle of Otranto, basically first published as a Gothic novel in 1764. Yes, this is very important. First Gothic novel is basically The Castle of Otranto, which is published in 1764, and it is widely recognized as the first Gothic novel in literature. Yes, this is the picture of his novel, basically. And yes, these are some of the characteristics of this Gothic. We have the dark castle, palaces, chambers, haunted mansion, all come together to emphasize the sense of evil. Yes, all come together to emphasize the sense of evil means what? Evil power is somehow very dominant in that theme. You all know that the evil is somehow the devilish behavior or the evil is somehow the central character in all the horror and all the gothic movies or gothic literature. presence of ghost presence of ghost is there. We have the spirits, we have the vampires and other supernatural elements. Another character is that it is mysteriously disappeared. Some of the character is mysterious disappearances and reappearances somehow after a certain set of like whenever we are reading a novel or whenever we are watching a movie, certain characters are somehow disappeared, and we all like somehow think ki how these characters disappear somehow. And apart from that, at the end or in the middle of the novel, we can see ki this character is disappeared at a certain point and somehow they reappeared. So these are somehow the um, you know, this curiosity is somehow we experienced that ki first the character is like they disappeared and somehow it reappeared in the whole story. The supernatural or the paranormal occurrences, yes, supernatural element and paranormal occurrences are there in the gothic literature or the gothic uh, like the horror movies. The story is set in bleak and remote places. Yes, you all know this. The gothic stories or the horror stories, they have said the setting is very much different than the actual um, common stories. We all know the romantic stories or the stories which are very, they have a, like a very happy ending. They usually have a very nice setting. We have the river flowing, or the sky is blue, the flowers are blooming. But apart from that, whenever we um, learn some whenever we read the gothic or whenever we watch a horror movie, we can see the story set in a bleak and remote places, like nobody is there, a very dark place, very remote, like bleak place. The leaves are not there usually on the trees, and all the bleaky, the thunderstorm going on, the bats are flying, like that. The plot involves violent incidents, isolated setting, characters are in psychological or a physical torment. Yes, the characters are basically somehow they are dealing with the psychological or the physical torment. They are not basically the common, uh, like the normal human beings. Yes, these are the three pictures which shows the Gothic literature. We have Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. As you can see by the look of that novel, the character of the Frankenstein is somehow very dark and he's very angry basically. Apart from that, we have Bram Stoker's Dracula. We can see through the front picture. There's the picture of the vampire, the Dracula. And yes, we have the fall of the house of Usher by Edgar Allan Poe. Yes, the background picture says it all, that it's a very, and basically maybe it's like in a dark and suspicious background, and the story revolved around the same. Yes, I hope uh, you all uh, understood till Gothic novel. Now we are on the another topic, the Napoleonic War. Yes, it's a war basically, going the war. It's a like a French war, which starts from 1804 to 1812. The dates are really very very important. The Napoleonic War were the series of war fought between the French under Napoleon Bonaparte against a coalition of European states. As a result of the spillover from many unresolved disputes during the French Revolution. Yes, some of the parts of this PPT I have underlined the very very important parts. Yes, the Napoleonic War. Basically, what do you exactly mean by Napoleonic War? The Napoleonic War is the series of war which fought between the French army and the European states. Basically, coalition is basically the army. So the war takes place between somehow the French and the England, basically. And as a result of the spillover for many unresolved disputes during the French Revolution, yes, the war happened after the French Revolution. We will see what is exactly meaning by this the French Revolution. But yes, the Napoleonic War takes place after the French Revolution. And you can see there's this picture of Napoleon Bonaparte, and he was the one who started the Napoleonic War. As the word in the word the Napoleonic somehow is related with this person, the Napoleonic Bonaparte. The war established a period of French domination over most of the continental Europe. Yes, Napoleon Bonaparte basically he was a French guy, and he was a like a great French emperor, and he thought he know French, the domination of French all over the world, as well as the continental Europe should be there. So most of the people, the people who are living in Europe, or the people who supports the Europe, the England, thought that why only French, why this French domination. So there's the war which took they have started with this war to stop the French domination, to stop the French army, the dominancy of that French army on the people who are like living in the Europe. So somehow the war started between these two nations. Napoleon War started after French Revolution and ended with the Battle of Waterloo. We will see what is exactly French Revolution, and we'll see what is the Battle of Waterloo. But before that, again, this is like in a nutshell that the Napoleonic War takes place between the European states, the England, and basically the French. Yes, let's see the background of the Napoleonic War. From 1799 to 1815, Napoleon Bonaparte dominated France and Europe. A hero to some and evil foes to other, he gave his name to the final phase of the French Revolution, the age of Napoleon. Yes, at the end of the French Revolution takes place, and at the end of the French Revolution, this emperor, this French emperor Napoleon, thought ki uh, let's the France, or let the French is the like the best thing which lets the dominancy of French. Let's started with this, but the people like the French Revolution. Uh, um, sorry, the final phase of French Revolution, the age of Napoleon. Napoleon was a military genius who dominated Europe for more than a decade. Yes, he was a really genius person, and yes, who dominated by his French Revolution, by his French army to Europe for more than a decade. Napoleon furthered his reputation on this battlefield. Yes, after French Revolution, he somehow started entering in the war. He somehow started entering in the battlefield in a series of conflict known as Napoleonic War. And yes, after he entered in the battlefield, the Napoleonic War took place. He battled the combined forces of the greatest European powers. He took great risk and even suffered a huge losses. Yes, while battling, while the war, there are the losses, there are the wins, and somehow this is the statement of the Napoleon, that I grew up on the field of battle. He once said, and a man such as I am cares little for the life of million men. Yes, he was like a very rude and very um, selfish person, and he thought that yes, I grew on this field of battle. I know I don't care about the losses of the people. After declaring himself emperor, he dominated field of battle of war. He conquered Spain, he conquered Germany, but not England and Russia. Yes, he is somehow conquered Spain and Germany. He defeated Spain and Germany, but he somehow not conquered England and Russia, because England and Russia is somehow holding their strong position across the world. So somehow Napoleon thought ki I have somehow conquered Spain and Germany, but it's really difficult to conquer the people of the King of England and the Russia. So they always remain the enemies for Napoleon. Napoleon wanted to spread French culture and ideas. Yes, this is the important thing why this war took place, because Napoleon, the French emperor, wanted to spread French culture and ideas across the world. But there are some people who who thought that this idea is not good. And he fought angry because they didn't want to change how they live, and because they don't want to change, because why this French culture, why these French ideas? So they don't want to change their culture, they don't want to change how they are living currently. So these some of these people who are currently living in England, currently living in Russia, thought that why this Napoleon wanted to spread this French culture across the world. So some of these people of England and Russia came together, and somehow this led to patriotism. And somehow these all people came together and thought ki why we have to stop this, we have to stop everything. And somehow this led to the patriotism, the patriotic patriotism. It means the whole nation are somehow came together, the England and the Russia, against the Napoleon. Yes. So the first picture of this PPT, uh, you can see the Napoleonic reforms the French legal system. Yes, while French Revolution going on, everyone, the basically they are not well. Um, they don't have they don't have well set of rules, they don't have well set of laws, and they don't have well set of like as a nation, as a legal system. So what this Napoleonic code, what this Napoleon did, the Napoleon guided them. The Napoleon thought that let's guide the people of France. Let's guide this people of French into a better society, into a better person. So all Frenchmen have their civil rights. After getting into the French Revolution, after getting into this French people, this Napoleon somehow changed everything in this in the nation of the France. What he changed, all Frenchmen will have civil rights. This is one of the change. Foreigners in France will enjoy same civil rights as Frenchmen. Husbands were obliged to protect their wives. Any Frenchman who joins the military of a foreign power is no longer a French citizen. Property rights, and a woman can make a will without her husband's permission. Yes, these are some of the codes which Napoleon thought will be great for the people who are currently living in France. So, because of this, the whole nation, the whole people of France came together and they all supported the Napoleon. The next picture is basically, you can see it's a plum pudding in danger. The whole picture is called the plum pudding in danger. This is like satiric, basically, you can say a comic picture. On the right hand side, on your right hand side, we can see the guy who is wearing a blue color coat, and on your left hand side, you can see a person wearing a red color coat. The red color symbolizes the army, which belongs to the United Kingdom, and the blue basically symbolizes the people, the army which supported the France. So you can see how the Napoleon and the William Pitt, yes, William Pitt, basically was he was the king at that time of United Kingdom, as a um, you can say as an important royal figure or the important president, basically. So somehow he supported the United Kingdom, and the Napoleon Bonaparte basically from France. And you can see there's this plum pudding which symbolizes the whole world basically. And they this what are these two people are doing? These two people are cutting it down basically. It means France want that all the countries or all the nations which are there in this which is there in this world, it's somehow dominated only and only by French culture and French ideas. So he's cutting it down, you can see. And at the same time, this United Kingdom royal man, William Pitt, is somehow making it in a half. In no, why you are doing it? And the William Pitt wants ki, no, this is a very wrong thing. So this the war which is there, you can see from the picture itself, the army of United Kingdom wants half of the world. They want, we are the ones who will rule across the world. But at the same time, the Napoleonic Bonaparte, the France want ki, no, the French culture and the French ideas I'll spread across the whole globe. Yes, how this Napoleonic War end? Russia, Britain, Australia, and Prussia formed a new alliance against a weakened France. In 1813, they defeated Napoleon in the Battle of Nation of Leipzig. Yes, you all know that Russia, Britain, and England were against the Napoleonic, and at the end, this war, the Napoleonic they defeated this Napoleon person, and the Battle of Nation at Leipzig, which is in Germany. Napoleon's final defeat brought an end to the era of the French Revolution. After escaping from Elba, Napoleon made his way back to France. He met his final defeat at the Battle of Waterloo. Even though Napoleonic will be ultimately defeated, the wars he started would forever alter the political landscape of Europe with the rise of nation state independent from overarching empires. Yes, the war took place basically uh, in Leipzig, Germany, and Napoleon, while going back to France, he met the final defeat of the Battle of Waterloo, and in this final defeat of the Waterloo, which ends the Napoleonic War, it means Russia and Britain defeated this Napoleon finally, and but Napoleon would be ultimately defeated. But the war he started, basically the Napoleonic War, always has this political landscape across the Europe with the rise of nation. Yes, we have the little bit information about the Battle of Waterloo. Battle of Waterloo? It takes place in 18 June 1815. While Napoleon accept the island of Elba, and he went to Paris to resume his role as emperor. Um, yes, he somehow escaped. Basically, he ran from the island of Ilba because people somehow there he escaped from the jail, basically, which were there in the island of Ilba, and he went to Paris to resume his role of emperor. But people thought that, oh, now the Napoleon came back, it means again he will start French. Again he'll start spreading French ideas. Again he'll start spreading the culture of French. But somehow the people who belong to British, Dutch, Belgian, Germany thought that no, no, we have to stop this Napoleon, because first we have defeated him, but again he came back with all the new thoughts and all the new cultures, and now we have to stop this person. Napoleon decided to attack their armies before other allies could come to end, and there he decided, कि no, this time I'll to attack all this British and Dutch people before they could started their own war. And yes, the war of battle takes place between Napoleon and Duke of Wellington. Yes, the Duke of Wellington was the person who defeated the Napoleon in the War of Waterloo. And yes, we can see how the loss were there, that 33,000 troops, 33,000 people lost their life 20 in the battle, and it is considered one of the most significant battle in the history of Napoleonic War, as it is marked the end of the Napoleon reign as the emperor of the France. Yes, very very important, everyone. It is considered as the most significant battle because of the end of the culture of France. To make sure that he didn't accept, like last time he imprisoned. Yes, people now know कि last uh, he accepts somehow, but this time make sure that he'll not accept. So he was imprisoned to the south of Atlantic in island in St. Helena as a prisoner of war, and later he died there at itself at the age of 51. I yes, this is the picture of the Battle of Waterloo. Everyone, you can see through this picture how the red, the army of the England and the army of the France are somehow fighting, and you can see the person is lying is the Napoleon, and the person who is the other person is somehow killing that Napoleon. Yes, I hope you understand the background topic of today's session, because we are going to start with the novel Vanity Fair by William Makepeace Thackeray. I hope you understood it like really well, and we are going to start with the novel by William Makepeace Thackeray. Uh, yes, let's see in a very closely who is William Makepeace Thackeray. He was a British novelist, author, and illustrator. He is known for his satirical works, Vanity Fair, which paranormal portrays British society. Thackeray was born in Calcutta, India, and moved to England after his father's death. He attended his schoolings at Trinity College, Cambridge, and these are some works of William Makepeace Thackeray: The History of Henry Esmond, Catherine, the Virginians, and the look of Barry Lyndon. This is a very short introduction, everyone. William Makepeace Thackeray. You can refer, like there are like more like, detailed description of William Makepeace Thackeray. Due to the constraint of time, these are the some of the important points I have like noted over here. Yes. Apart from that, Thackeray is a realistic person. Realistic means he portrays exactly what he seen or exactly what he experienced. Thackeray is also a satirist. He's a satirist. Satirist basically, you can call it as a person who mock. who criticized in a very funny and funny way. His humor is subtle, his satire is caustic, critical, and this Vanity Fair is basically William Thakrae's a satirical novel through English society. And third is Thackeray is a moralist. Yes, moralist. He um, follow moral values. He is an ethical person, and all the novels of William Thackeray basically deals with with the morality, with the ethical code. His aim is to produce a moral impression in all his novels. Yes, we can. These are some of the works of William Makepeace Thackeray, and you can see there's this moral touch in every of his novel. Yes, let's start with the novel William Thackeray, Vanity Fair. This is the picture. There are lots of pictures available on Google of the Vanity Fair cover page. Uh, yes, it was first published as a 19-volume monthly serial from 1847 to 1848. Very, very important, everyone. You should know the date of the date of published date of any novel or any work. So in 1847, somehow it carries a subtitle Pen and Pencil Sketches of English Society. Yes, in this picture you can see there's this subtitle Pen and Pencil Sketches of English Society in 1847, but it was published as a single volume in 1848 with the subtitle A Novel Without a Hero. Yes, while going with the parts, when the novel published in a parts, the subtitle of this novel Vanity Fair is Pen and Pencil Sketches of English Society. But when it published as a single volume in 1848, just after the 1 year, the title was the same, Vanity Fair, but the subtitle somehow changed, A Novel Without a Hero. This is very, very important that you should know why this novel is called A Novel Without a Hero. We will see in the further slides why this novel is called A Novel Without a Hero. The first major work published by Thackeray under his own name, yes, very important again. This is the first major work which is published by William Makepeace Thackeray under his own name. Under his own name, as you can see in this picture, there's the whole name of William Makepeace Thackeray because he used to write by his pen name, The Fat Contributor, and there are many of his pen names. A big success brought him established fame and permanently. Yes, this novel brought him like a huge fame. Like all satire, Vanity Fair has a mission and moral. Yes, we just read that William Makepeace Thackeray uh, was a man of moral, was a man of mission. It is sometimes considered the principal founder of the Victorian domestic novel. We just so, what is exactly the domestic novel? And this novel is a principal founder of Victorian domestic novel. Yes, when we like uh, when we move forward, we can see how this whole Vanity Fair is called as the domestic novel. The characters, the whole situation, the culture, the society, everything is there in this novel. Yes, but what do you exactly mean by Vanity Fair? What is exactly mean by vanity? What is exactly mean by fair? From where from where this two word came from? Vanity Fair, named after the fair set up by the Beelzebub in the John Bunyan's The Pilgrim Process. Yes, most of you um, uh, has aware of this thing that the John Bunyan's very famous poem, The Pilgrim Progress, the vanity is somehow taken from there. In this picture, you can see the Christian and the faithful. Basically, it's an important part of Pilgrim Process because it's a very long poem, and we can see throughout this poem, this Christian and faithful goes on a very long journey to find the god basically. So there's they while going towards the place of god, they somehow saw this, like this vanity fair. The fair is going on in some of the, it's in the part of some village basically. And at this fair, what they saw, what Christian and faithful saw, all merchandise sold: silver sold, gold, house, kingdom, countries, lust, pleasures, wife, husband, blood, bodies. Like in this fair, usually we go to fair, we basically what we see is like the clothes shop, the food counters, or the many, basically the books counter. But at this vanity fair, what these people are selling: the silver, the gold, the house, countries, lust, pleasure, blood, bodies, etc. It means all the materialistic, all the instrumental things basically. People who refuse to buy anything, they are beaten. But if people refuse to buy this, they are somehow badly beaten, put it in a cage, and then take out, leap up with chain up down the fair. But if you refuse to buy anything from this thing, they'll beat you up and they'll somehow taken out and to the down the fair. Vanity Fair is a satirical picture of English society, law, religion in Bunyan state. Very, very important again. Vanity Fair is a satirical picture of English Victorian society. As you can see in this Vanity Fair, all this materialistic um, things, the silver, gold, these are the vanities basically. These are not important in the life, in one's life. These are all wasteful. These are somehow what we attracted to these things. But we are going apart from our own morality um, to get this thing. So vanity is somehow basically things which a person is attracted to, but not very useful at the end of your life. The title Vanity Fair, again, taken from the Pilgrim Progress. It's an allegorical journey of the man Christian through the life of heaven. And yes, this is the Christian encounters temptation and detours, including the road through a city called Vanity. And yes, this vanity is selling all the corrupt, the temporary things, all the delights of the world. But these delights, this corrupt, these temporary things are not important in one's life. The book was enormous popular and read in many English American households. And yes, Thackeray somehow taken this title Vanity Fair from the Pilgrim Progress by John Bunyan. And what is the theme? The theme is humankind self-destructive attraction to worldwidely delights. Yes, the setting of this novel basically before and after the Battle of Waterloo. We just saw what is the Battle of Waterloo. Setting of this novel is in England, um and some of the continent like Paris, Rome, Brussels, and German like Brussels, yes. And it's a social setting. Social setting means it involves all the characters, and it's a social. We When we see the characters, you will notice that these characters having a social interaction with each other. So this is very, very important. Everyone, you should know ki what's the like the time, what's the setting, and yes. Yes, the novel portrays the life of Becky Sharp and Emilia Sedley, which is also known as Emmy. Every one of you uh, make sure that you are well aware of the characters in this novel, because there are like lot of characters in this novel, but few of the important characters which I'll be mentioning you. So Becky Sharp, which is also called as Rebecca in this novel, and also the Emilia Sedley, which is also called as Emmy. and it talks about their lifestyles and their friends and their families during and after the Napoleonic War. We have just seen what is the Napoleonic War, and this novel takes place. The setting of the novel is takes place when the Napoleonic War going on. So the characters are Becky and Emily. Vanity Fair originally, PS, we have just seen this, and the book was published in 1848 with the subtitle A Novel Without a Hero, and the characters are obsessed with social climbing and acquisition of wealth. Again, a very important thing to note, this all the characters of this novel is are obsessed with social thing, obsessed with wealth. They all they want at the end is money, fame, and social um, background. All the things which belongs to vanity. So the title Vanity Fair is taken from Pilgrim Process. Yes. Why this novel called A Novel Without a Hero? Yes, because you all know what are the traditional concept of hero, is that the hero should be brave, it had all the selfless qualities, and a hero which is basically put forward himself or herself before any situation. But in this novel, there's no person, no character which having a basically a heroic quality. Yes. So the individual, the all the people, all the characters is somehow uh, are like the self uh, all other characters are selfish, and they have this wrong teaching of the societal norms. So these characters prevent to be a hero. You all know that hero, when how we call this character as a hero, because it possesses all the respective qualities. But in this novel, none of the characters are possessed any respective like qualities of the hero. So that's why all the characters in the novel are morally ambitious and flaws driven by their own desires, and they lack in their dimension as a proper hero. None of the single character in this novel is somehow having a respective qualities of a hero. So the novel does not have a hero because every character in a book has different somehow they having different moral teaching. They don't possess a very good character in themselves. We don't allow a human being to be a role model. Correct. At the end of this novel, you can see that none of these characters are basically will inspire you, because all the characters have indulged themselves to the um, materialistic things. So that's why this novel called as a novel without a hero, because this novel itself does not possess any character, does not have any character which having a heroic quality in themselves. Yes, the nature of the novel is a puppet play, and we'll see what is mean by the puppet play, and it's considered as a classic. And also the Vanity Fair, which is taken from the John Bunyan's the Pilgrim Progress, and somehow in 1986, this Vanity Fair. um is somehow used by the magazine, a lifestyle British magazine, which is right now this magazine is still there, and they publish usually the Victorian and Edwardian societies news. Yes, the puppet play, basically you all know what do exactly means by puppet. In this picture you can see the puppet, basically there's this box and the puppet, and the humans are the one who dominates the action of this puppet. So in this play, while before the curtain, it points out that all the characters of these novels are somehow the puppets, basically. When you like when you read the original text of this Vanity Fair, you can see the moment the novel starts, before the curtain takes place, before when the preface going on, the puppets, all the characters are dressed in the puppets, and there's this showman who control this the actions of this puppet. You all know that how these puppets are basically how they um, do their action. So when the curtain comes down, the play ends, and the puppets only collections of wood, metals, clothes, after all, return to their crate. And you all know, whenever the puppet show comes to an end, the person who is somehow dealing with these puppets, he closed out this crate, and all the puppets somehow get back to their original box. So as same, while we see the beginning of Vanity Fair, we can see all the characters are dressed up in a puppet form, and the showman shows to the readers ki how these puppets are basically there, and at the end they perform their role, they perform their duties with and they perform all the things, and be a real people, and somehow get back to their original crate. The novel characters, after characters perform as the puppets do, they play decideful roles to achieve their goals and harm other characters in the process. Yes, but while performing their individual roles as a puppet, they achieve their goals at the end, but they harm others in the process. This is very, very important, everyone, that this play is also called as puppet play, because at the beginning of this original text, you can see all the characters are dressed up in their roles, and they are performing as a puppet. It means someone is there who is controlling them, their actions. Yes, this character sketch. The Becky Sharp is in blue, and all the characters are in basically in the green. You can see Becky Sharp is the main character of this Vanity Fair, and Becky Sharp basically is the girl who is very much selfish, who is like who is like the fond of the social thing, and who use others to improve her social position. She always and always use the other people. She always attracted to money. She always want that this person will help me to gain the materialistic position, to the social position. Apart from that, we have the others character which are totally important as well. The Emilia Sedley is the another girl, uh, who is the friend of Becky, and Emilia is a sweet and a naive woman, allows men to protect her. She is very sweet, she is very calm, but at the same time she is not a morally right person. Apart from that, we have George Osborne. George Osborne is basically is the uh, he's the husband of Emilia Sedley, and he's a selfish young man. As you can see, there's this word selfish. It means again the one of the characteristic of vanity. In Becky Sharp, you can see the how she's a social climber. Again, the characteristic of vanity. Um, a young man unsteady his loves and his loyalties. Apart from that, we have Joe Sedley. Joe Sedley is he's the brother of Emilia Sedley, and yes, he's a big appetite, timid around women. Another characteristic of vanity. Apart from that, we have Rawdon Crawley. Crawley belongs to a very high class society, and this Crawley family, whole the Crawley family belongs to a very high class society. Rawdon Crawley is the uh, future husband of Becky Sharp. We have William Dobbin. William Dobbin is the friend of Rawdon Crawley. At the same time, he loves Emily Sedley, but somehow um, his uh, character in the whole novel is somehow a loyal, big-hearted, and a patient friend and a protector. But from as we see, all these characters are like somehow attracted to money, fame, social climbing, and around the woman. But this character William Dobbin, which is a big-hearted, loyal, and a patient friend and a protector, but at the end he became a victim of again the anti moralism. Apart from that, we have Prit Crawley, Sir Pitt Crawley, and Miss Matilda Crawley. Again, I've told you that this Crawley family is a very rich family, a very royal family. Pitt Crawley, basically the oldest son of Sir Pitt Crawley. Sir Crawley's oldest son is Pitt Crawley. He's a very serious, dull, and Pitt inherits the family title after his father's death. It means Sir Pitt Crawley. Sir Pitt Crawley is a cheap, bad-natured, haughty, and uneducated noble. He spent his time engaged in lawsuits and cannot manage um, his estates successfully. After the death of Sir Pitt Crawley, all the estate, all the property belongs to the Pitt Crawley. Miss Matilda Crawley basically is the half sister of Sir Pitt Crawley and is a wealthy spinster. Spinsters means basically the unmarried woman, vulnerable to flattery. She intends to make Rawdon her heir. He marries Becky. Yes, Matilda Crawley possesses a very huge fortune, very huge money. And somehow Miss Matilda Crawley hated when Rawdon married Becky, because somehow she knew that how Becky is a very social, uh, like a very social attracted thing. She hates Becky, and somehow he um, uh, he didn't give all the wealth to the Rawdon, and Rawdon Crawley is one of the um, family member of this Crawley family. I hope you understand the character sketch well, everyone. The detailed character sketch, I have not mentioned the detailed character sketch because of this time um uh, constraint, but I hope you are all aware of this basic characters which are there in this novel. And yes, let's start with the Vanity Fair. Yes, Vanity Fair is the fame story which introduced a narrator as a puppet show, as I've already told you, and all the characters are like a puppet, basically. As the novel opens, two young women leave school and begin their adult lives. Yes, Emilia Sedley and uh, uh, this two Emilia Sedley and Becky Sharp are these are the two friends, who the two young women who leave their school and begin to live their adult life. And somehow this George Osborne, whom she blindly adores, and living out a stable, happy life as a children of wealthy merchant. And this this Emilia Sedley is in love with George Osborne, and George Osborne belonged to again a high class society. So Emilia Sedley is somehow adore George Osborne's a lot. But in contrast, Becky Sharp had to work their way through school. Becky Sharp, she's the person who does not belong to a high class society. She always uh, survived in the poor class society, or her mother was a dance teacher, her father was a painter. So Becky Sharp does not have that very fame and royal background, but she always gets jealous of Emilia Sedley, because Emilia Sedley belongs to a very high class society, as well as this George Osborne. In contrast, and Becky Sharp had to earn money because of the survival. So she thought that she'll become governess in the aristocratic Crawley family, and she thought that let's accept this job as a governess in the aristocratic Crawley family. I have just introduced you all with the characters of the Crawley family. Cunning and encumbered by morality, Becky has plans to cl- claw her way up in the world. Yes, she already planned out the things how she will entered in the Crawley aristocratic family, and how she will um, get all the attention of the people who are living in Crawley family, and ultimately she ended up marrying one of the uh, character, or one of the member of Crawley family. How she visited Amelia's family. She also, after the schooling, she visited Amelia Sedley family and met her older brother Joss. Joss Sedley, another character. I have just uh, told you this the character of Jaws, and Jaws is a basically a homesick. Jaws basically is working in India, East India Company, as a taxation guy, and somehow Becky thought Jaws sadly belongs to a very rich class family. Why not? Let's somehow. Um, gets the company of Jaws. Becky tries to catch Jaws as a husband, but his awkwardness around women makes him shy away from her. Yes, this is the very important thing, that Becky tries to catch Jaws as a husband, but Jaws somehow he's a very shy person. Becky leaves to begin work as a governess, and Emilia, George attend the concert where they meet William Dobbin. William Dobbin, again, the character which is the friend of George. At the same time, William Dobbin loves uh, Emilia Sedley, but he knew that Emilia Sedley is in love with George Osborne, so he throughout the novel he stays as a silent thief. George Army friend, two important plot events occurred in the concert. First, Dobbin falls in love with Emilia, and George, a vain young man, sees Becky for her social climber. She is a mocks George for being attracted to her. Her chance with George spoiled. Becky leaves for the Crawley estate. Yes, this is the thing, that this George is somehow saw that Becky is a very social climber, but George knew that yes, Becky is the person who is very strong, very cunning, and she is always attracted to the social background of the people. And this thing George saw, but George is somehow right now is not attracted to Becky, but somehow there's this thing between Emilia Sedley and George Osborne going on, but William Dobbin is somehow loves Emilia Sedley. These are some things which I have underlined that is very, very important. Um, Sir Pitt Crawley, I have told you, is a very wealthy man, and Becky easily manipulates her dissipated employer with her charm. But Becky is a very smart girl, everyone. So Becky easily manipulates. She always manipulates the people of Crawley family. Becky adapts her charm to other members of the family as well. She feigns saintly behavior around older cops, Pitt Prim, a young man, and acts Sando fish around the young son Rod and Crawley. She always thinks about the social things, the money, the fame, and somehow she got an eye on Rodin Crawley, which is he's the another member of the Crawley family, and she provoke him. Crawley household are Bute Crawley, Pitt, Sir Pitt youngest brother, and half sister Matilda Crawley, a wealthy spinster, and both become targets of Becky's machination. Yes, you all know that Becky is somehow from the start is targeting the Crawley family, because Crawley family is a very wealthy family. So somehow she has decided ki she'll marry one of the member of this Crawley family to get the bigger position in the society. So yes, Miss Crawley became furious when she learns that her favorite nephew has married without family approval. Somehow, Becky uh, uh, is Becky and the marriage happened between Rawdon and Crawley, and this news somehow not liked by the Matilda, and she inherited that Rawdon from the from the property. Okay. The young couple, yes. Meanwhile, the Sedley household face the problems at the Napoleonic escape and rebuild the forces of the another continent. Yes, somehow the conflict going on between these things, everyone. You all now know which are the characters are there in this novel. And yes, there are some thing between the marriage happening between Emilia and George. And George family thought that Emilia's father business is not going well. So George father said to George that let's not marry to Emilia, because um, Emilia's financial condition is not going good. So George thought that why not marry Emilia? So they both married separately against their family wishes. The couple ran across the Bath. Bath is the place in England, everyone. And there's George and Emilia lived happily. And somehow in Bath itself, Becky and Rawdon are there. So these four people, George, Emilia, Becky, and Rodin, somehow lived together in the bath. But at the same time, everyone, Emilia, George is somehow attracted towards the Becky. This novel is all about the social conflict, the money, the materialism, and somehow they are not they don't respect the emotions of the other. So there's this thing, the George is attracted towards Becky, and somehow Rawdon, being a very faithful husband, he always loves Becky. And George somehow loses money when he does not have Rawdon, and poor Amelia is neglected by her husband. And in the war, George loses some money. War, basically, the background of war is going on, the Napoleonic War. There's this George and Rawdon are the army people. They both belong to the British Army, and they usually go to the war basically to fight. So George and Rawdon had this invitation, not had this news that they have to go to the war, the Napoleonic War, basically, the war which going happening as a Napoleonic background. So they somehow he left Emilia and Rawdon left Becky in the middle. Yes, meanwhile, Sedley Houses faces its own problems. And yes, the conflict is going on between the Mrs. Sedley and uh, the the George, and yes, I guess yes. This melancholy plot lines are interrupted when George, Rawdon, and Dobbin are deployed by the Belgium and prepares a post Napoleonic force. Yes, I have just told you that the setting of this whole novel is going in the war situation. Which war? The war which is there between the France and England, and this George, this um, Rawdon belongs to the England side. So yes, they left Emilia, and Emilia got pregnant by the George, and somehow the Becky got pregnant by the Rawdon. Meanwhile, Becky and Rawdon have their son, and Rawdon is met by the boy. And Becky shows the child little affection. They spend time in Paris and then return to London. Yes, this situation going on that the Emilia went to their her family, and then this Becky is enjoying all the materialistic life in that place because she always attracted to the materialistic life. The Sedley, meanwhile, continue to struggle financially, and yes, they spoiled son. And back in London, Lord Steen, a degenerate old man. Yes, there's this another character, everyone, Lord Steen. Lord Steen again belonged to a very high class society, and it is the Becky that somehow got the news that George is somehow dead in the war, but at the same time, this Rawdon is somehow got stuck in that war. So Becky thought, now who will somehow manage my expenses after Rawdon? So she somehow uh, pushes her good fortune too far and asks Lord Stin to support her. She allows Rawdon to go into the debt, a crime for which people could imprison at a time. Yes, Rawdon somehow he people jailed Rawdon, and Rawdon ended up in jail, and somehow this Becky is attracted towards another character, that is the Lord Steele, at the end. And there's Becky dressed lavishly, singing of Lord Steen. He attacks to the old man, assuming the two are having an affair. Steen, rather than changing Rawdon to a duel that might not end for him, arranges for Rawdon to be a governor of the island under British control. Rawdon must leave his son at the estate and go. And somehow, when the Rawdon came and finds that Becky is dressing in a very lavishly and singing for Lord Steen, and he got really very very angry. And then it was like Becky who somehow begged to in front of Rawdon that it's not my fault. I'm really sorry. And then somehow Rawdon leave his son and the estate and go, and somehow he left Becky. Rumors of Becky and Sten spread, and she is forced to leave London. In the years, she moves to city and repeating the pattern of acquiring wealth pattern. Very, very important, everyone. After Rawdon left, Becky and Lord Sten spread across the world, and Becky is trying. She moving from city to city to acquiring wealth. Again, she's not changed. Again, she following the same pattern to. um and acquiring wealth and another thing, she enjoys the freedom of this lifestyle. And William Dobbin and Emilia travels to Europe because Emilia thought that George is dead, and she is somehow living with William Dobbin. Dobbin frustrated, and after over a decade, Emilia still hasn't let go to love for George, but in her mind, the love for George is still there, so she cannot she's not trying to accept the love which William Dobbin has for her. And time passes, Rawdon still stuck on the yes, Becky then performs an uncharacteristically kind act. She shows Emilia the note George sent her in the Brussels. And Emilia is a very, very selfish person. She shows Becky is a very selfish person, and Becky shows Emilia that, see, your husband sent me the note that he loves me. And Emilia agrees to marry Dobbin. And now Emilia got really very, very angry that my husband, the person whom I love a lot, is somehow attracted to Becky. And then Emilia agrees to marry Dobbin. Later, they have a daughter. And through disillusional, Dobbin never loves to the disillusion, Dobbin never again loves Emilia as intensely as he did before their marriage endures. Time passes. This is the end of this novel. Rawdon, still stuck on this island, dies of a yellow fever. You all know that Rawdon got to know the affair between the Lord Steen and the Becky, so he left. The marriage broke. When his older brother said Pitt dies short after, he also died because Matilda gave Sir Pitt all the fortune. Rawdon and Becky's son Roddy inherits the Crawley estate. He is the grandson of Becky and Rawdon inherits the Crawley estate. Becky is still in the Europe with Joes. Becky is the again the selfish character. She is still in Europe enjoying with Jaws. Doesn't benefit from her son's wealth at all. She is not benefited by the wealth, the money of his son. Josh died under the suspicious circumstances, and the Becky hired lawyers to collect his life insurance money. See, again, Becky is a very selfish and very social character. She always wants that how she'll gain the money from the society. She settled comfortably in the bath and turns to work pity and charity, but she never wins back the good reputation or the affection of those who once called her friend. The narrator closes the novel frame by putting this puppet in the box. This is the Vanity Fair plot, everyone. This is the introduction. We have the rising action. This is the climax. We have the falling action and the resolution. Introductory part is the character. The all the introduction of the characters. The rising action means how the conflict is how the marriages takes place, how everything was going on. There's this climax in which we got to know that the characters are not loyal with each other, and the falling action is what the marriages broke out, and the resolution means it's a happy ending just for the Becky, but all the characters suffer. The theme is the vanity is the dominant theme of Thackeray's novel. Yes, it satirizes. I have already told you what is mean by vanity. Vanity means to attract it um, by the unnecessary things. Vanity appears most in the novel, as we can see. Emilia, as a selfish victim, is guilty by his trait, which she desperately wanted. As a rich and corrupt father-in-law, and Dobbin obsession with Emilia. There's the heroism. You all know there's no hero in this whole novel. As you can see, every character is attracted by the selfless thing, the unnecessary things. And somehow, this example where George excitement is framed as reckless, abundant heroism, and all Sir another serpent who seems to have a heroic potential in his kindness towards Lady Crawley changes his color as soon as comes to his inheritance. We can see if the person want to be a hero for that novel, but at a certain extent they behave as if they are they behave as they have changed their character. Motherhood, very important. Motherhood plays a very important role in Vanity Fair. There are good mothers and terrible mothers, doting mothers, and altogether absent mothers. For instance, Becky's mother died when she was young and therefore was not an actor in Becky's life. In turn, Becky is unfortunate to get the love of the mother, so she ignores her son and plays Vanity Fair games. So, yes, this is uh, the question answers. What is mean by the term Vanity Fair in the literal context? What are the values are presented in William Makepeace Thackeray? Yes, and why is the Thackeray's Vanity Fair called a novel without a hero? What is the main theme of Vanity Fair, and what is the conflict in Vanity Fair? How the plot and idea support each other, basically. So there are this set of questions which is like very much connected to this novel Vanity Fair. So yes, this is the session.
Yes.
By
Thank you,
Vanity Fair.
madam. Thank you so much. Thank you for your very wonderful presentation on Vanity Fair, covering all the important aspects of the novel. At the same time, madam covered all the topics which are prescribed in the background section, and she also focused on the expected questions which can be asked on Vanity Fair. On behalf of the host institutions, ma'am, I would like to extend gratitude to you for conducting this session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. I hope everyone enjoyed this session and everyone they are well understood by the topics. If you have any doubt, ma'am, if there's the doubt session, so how can we interact with the students?
If the students have any question, they can ask. I think the students are satisfied with your presentation, and
Okay.
share your contact number to to the students on various groups. So if they
Okay.
face any problem, they will interact with you. They will ask you.